Ms. Megan, Ms. Ava, are you ready to roll? Okay. Hadley did not log on, correct? He's just absent. Correct? Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone to our February 23rd Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. And I don't know if everyone's heard, I would like to take just a moment to recognize that we have had a Christian County deputy shot and killed this afternoon, is what I'm hearing. I don't have a lot of information. We talked to the officer in the back. I think we just need to take a moment of silence here for that individual and his family. So let's take just a minute. All right. Thank you. Well, first thing as always on our agenda is the approval of our minutes from our last meeting on January 26th. So if everyone's had time to review, if there's any amendments or changes that we would need to make, if not, we would entertain a motion for approval on our minutes from last meeting. Don't everybody jump up at once.
I move to accept the minutes as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Lacey, second. Go ahead and roll call, please. Megan?
Jeff Garrison,
Aye.
Lacey Colbert,
Aye.
Chad Zickafoose,
Aye.
Trevor Branch,
Aye.
Adam Brown,
Aye.
Suzanne Daniel,
Aye.
Pete Renfro,
Aye.
Kayla Berger,
Aye.
and Hadley Goldberg is absent.
Okay, thank you. We have no scheduled visitors or guests and no unfinished business to attend, so we'll move right on into our new business. First on the agenda is letter A, which is annexation number 26-0001. Property owner is the city of Ozark, Missouri. Property location is 1699 East Jackson Street. Miss Megan, you're up.
Okay. So as Jeff stated, it's at 1699 East Jackson Street, which is just east of the downtown area. This application is for a city-owned property. It's currently obviously in the county's jurisdiction, and this property is the home to Garrison Springs Community Forest, which the city purchased in March of 2021 with the assistance of a Missouri Department of Conservation grant and a federal forestry grant. It is compact and contiguous on the western side, and with the annexation, the park and other departments, including the police department, would be able to enforce the city ordinances, which is kind of one of the main reasons we wanted to bring this forward for annexation. Looking at the state statute, currently it is not annexed in, but it is compact and contiguous on that western side. The two properties it abuts are in city limits. The property is in good standing with the state of Missouri, and it is located in Tier 1. Currently, there are no plans in the immediate future to develop or redevelop the existing house that is on there. There's eventual plans which Hayden can speak to, our Parks Director can speak to, which it is to convert it into a nature center. But at the moment, there is no immediate plans for that. There is a well and septic that will remain there until the time that water and sewer infrastructure is connected, which will be, that connection will be reevaluated when they go to develop or redevelop the building. So just a little bit surrounding the property is pretty much undeveloped, at least on the northeast and south side. All of those parcels are zoned A1 agriculture in Christian County. The two properties to the west are residential and undeveloped, and both are single-family zonings in the city. And the comprehensive plan does recommend that we kind of honor our urban service agreement with the county, with it being tier 1. This is an opportunity for us to annex the property. And then it does actually recommend a future land use of parks, rec, and open space. We'll get a little bit more into that, but currently when we do the zoning, but currently and in the future, the property is planned to be a community forest. And there was no significant neighborhood opposition at the neighborhood meeting, or what we've heard from staff. A lot of the questions we had at the neighborhood meeting were, what does this mean for our property? Are we going to have to annex in? And so this is just an annexation for Garrison Springs to bring it under our jurisdiction. And the Board of Aldermen will hear this on March 16th. And staff recommend approval of the annexation.
Okay, thank you. Randall, you want to add anything?
No, sir.
Okay. And I'm assuming you want to be the representative, and I've never met you. Are you Mr. Ponzar?
Ponzar, yes, sir.
Ponzar, I'm sorry.
Oh, that is okay. Good
Nice to
evening,
meet you.
Chairman. Good to meet you as well. It's exciting to be here tonight and see different wheels in motion for our local government. I serve as our Parks Director for the City of Ozark. Ultimately, like Megan said, one of our big goals is to be able to enforce the ordinances that dictate how parks are interacting with the public. I was talking to some of our constituents that are here in the audience tonight. We've had individuals at various parks properties that currently are in the county where, well, they will cut down trees and build ground fires after dark, which violates 3 different ordinances right there in itself. Being the Parks Director, I'm going to be a little partial to the trees, but there's other things that can happen. So ultimately, that's a big piece of it. Like Megan said, right now, there are no future plans for this site. In other parcels, which you'll see in the future, there was concern about some of the zoning being RSF1, and I think you guys are probably more aware that that's a park zoning, and I'll let the planning and development people talk more about that than I will. But ultimately, our plan is to keep these parks. It's just to make sure we're bringing it under the city umbrella. I'll talk a little bit about the Nature Center if you all are interested. We're at the point where we're redeveloping our Parks Master Plan, dictating what our Parks Department will be doing for the next 10 years. Just as you all have looked at the Onward Ozark Plan and many of the corridor studies, it's our chance to look towards the future as well. And we're very excited to do that. Garrison Springs is at a pretty pivotal point where we just reopened it to the public, which was very exciting. But what does the next 10 years look like there? Some of the parks, and I don't know if it's appropriate or inappropriate, I'll look to my planning comrades to speak about it, that we'll talk about in the future are the Riverside End Park. There's a piece of property known as the Castleberry property. And then honestly, the Finley River soccer fields are all currently in the county. Again, what can we do with those in the future to better serve our community? But beyond that, I'm happy to answer any questions for you all.
Okay, if we do, we'll call you back up.
Awesome.
Thank you, sir, for your time. At this point, because there is action asked to be taken on this annexation, we'll open it up to the public. Anyone that might want to make a comment? 3, 2, 1, we're good to go, best I can tell. So we'll go ahead and close the public portion and open it up to the commission if we have any questions, comments, or concerns to voice. And if not, we're ready to go. Somebody jump in.
I make a motion we approve annexation 260001 as recommended by the staff.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Trevor, second. Roll call, please. Megan?
Trevor Branch.
Aye.
Suzanne Daniel. Chad Zickafood.
Aye.
Kayla Berger.
Aye.
Lacey Colbert.
Aye.
Adam Brown.
Aye.
Hallie Goldberg is absent. Pete Renfro.
Aye.
Jeff Garrison.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it.
Thank you. Then letter B, second is, as we've been discussing, is the zoning amendment number 26-0002. Property owner again is the city of Ozark, Missouri. Property location again, 1699 East Jackson Street. The existing zoning coming from the county would be AR, Agricultural Residential District in the county as mentioned. The requested zoning, if approved through the alderman, would be RSF1, which is Single Family District. Am I directing back to you, Miss Megan? All right.
Okay, as you guys know, this is the same property we talked about in the previous application. Generally, when staff look at a rezoning, we take into account the zoning classification of the property and the general area, as well as those existing uses. We look at the comprehensive plan's goals, as well as any trend in development and the suitability of the property in question to the permitted uses. So again, the surrounding area is relatively undeveloped. We do have some residential to the west, and obviously further, as you go further west towards downtown, you get more residential development for the most part until you hit the core. The comprehensive plan is a current and proposed use for current and future community forest, which does fall in line with the parks, recreation, and open space option. There is not a parks, recreation, and zone open space zoning option for the city. So RSF1 is probably the least intense use that we could propose for a zoning, as well as our other zoning or our other city parks are also zoned for single family. So it's kind of in keeping with what we already have. And just a note, there are deed restrictions based on the grant that the city received. So that kind of entails that this will forever be, or in perpetuity will be, a community forest and be managed and stuff and such. And Hayden, if he has anything else, can add to that. Again, most of the questions about zoning at the community or the neighborhood meeting was pertaining to why single family. They thought maybe we were going to plan a subdivision or something, but again, had to explain that this is the best option that we have as a city to zone. We don't have an institutional zoning or something to that effect. And so again, this will also be heard on March 16th with the board, and staff approve the zoning amendment.
Okay. Thank you. Randall, any additional comments?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Posner, would you like to make any comments in addition?
I'll quickly comment on those deed restrictions. So with those grants that we obtained for this property, ultimately we can build no more structures on the property. We can make improvements in the form of interpretive signage and various pieces like that, additional soft trails. But what you see on that property, ultimately what you get, long-term, hopefully renovating that house, which we're able to do, into an educational space, perhaps in the form of a nature center or something to that effect.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate it. And again, with any action requested, we'll be opening this up to the public if there's any comments that would like to be made. I see two that say no. Okay. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and close the public portion and move it to the commission for questions or comments. You're all excited. Go ahead, Trevor.
I just had a quick question. I'm excited for this. I was curious. I was happy to hear that it's open to the public now, but what services and opportunities for recreation are available right now?
I jumped up to the mic, and I hope that's okay.
You bet.
Ultimately, right now you see a hard trail, an ADA hard trail on the site leading up to a soft trail to the platform. In this master park plan, a subcomponent of that was a specific Garrison Springs site plan, because what does it look like in the future? I think it's very easy to throw down signs and platforms and all these things, but we want to make sure that we want to make sure the park's not loved to death. As a part of that master parks plan, we're identifying what the community wants, and nature-based programming is one of the highest areas of needs that we're not currently meeting as a department. Before the opening of this park, we met with the master gardeners, and then we were meeting with the and apologies, 6:30 is hitting me a little differently this evening. The extension office, the University of Missouri Extension Office, various partners who would want to do nature-based programming. And so I started my career in Parks and Rec as the summer camp director, and I've always said that is not a summer camp site. but ultimately it's for people of all generations to connect. And what an amazing site. Sorry to brag on a park, but you guys brought me up here and I'm going to do that. What an amazing site in the heart of Ozark to truly get to go and be within nature. And then a few blocks away, you're back in the middle of downtown. And so in the future, just different things along that line. The sky's the limit. So, yeah, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Anyone else? No, we're looking for a motion to proceed. I will go ahead and make the motion to approve the zoning amendment 26-0002 per staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, Megan.
Adam Brown,
Aye.
Chad Zickafus,
Aye.
Caleb Berger,
Aye.
Hadley Goldberg is absent, Pete Renfro,
Aye.
Trevor Branch,
Aye.
Jeff Garrison,
Aye.
Suzanne Daniel,
Aye.
and Lacey Colbert.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
That just tickles me to death not to say anything about my last name or nothing. But that's generational. It's good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Letter C, third on the agenda, is an ordinance amending the municipal code of the city of Ozark, Missouri, chapter 405 zoning regulations by repealing and replacing section 405.410 planned unit development regulations in its entirety. And I see you have already moved, so
I volunteered to
the floor is yours.
discuss this. Thank you. So we've got numerous code amendments on our list, if you will. Some of those, all range of things from signing to zoning to subdivision regulations, all related to development mostly. Many of them are different priorities for different reasons. This one's kind of risen to the top because we anticipate we've got some large projects on the horizon. We want to try to get ahead of it. Our existing plan development code, and we'll talk about some of this in more detail, but we want to be ahead of things and kind of address these things because it takes a while to get through the process of getting them adopted. And we've got some developments that we're kind of holding off a bit. So we'll go through these real quick. I'll talk about the process. I'll talk about how things differ between our existing code and the proposed code, and then the process changes. So getting right into it. So this is, as Megan said, or as you read, this would repeal the existing planned unit development ordinance and replace it with a new one. We are talking about changing the name and dropping the word unit. It's kind of an antiquated term. Most planned developments across the nation don't use that term anymore. And there's about 5 or 6 places in our code that it would change. So we've added a new definition, which we don't have a definition in our zoning code now, which is one of the problems. So that's something we'll correct. This is just kind of some cosmetic things on the surface. We've added a very intentional statement that talks about what qualifies as a planned development. So we as staff, you as the commission and the board can evaluate a proposal on whether or not it's appropriate for a plan development. So when we go through this process, we can always go back to that purpose and intent statement. So that's kind of very important. And these codes are pretty typical. This particular draft came largely from Wisconsin. It's one that we identified, but Springfield, Ozark, Nixa, most cities have a plan development ordinance, and they're very similar. We like the way the language was framed in that one. Megan kind of dug that one up, and we've stolen a lot of that information. We've shared some stuff from our existing ones. So it does change the process a little bit, but it's pretty typical of the way they're done. And we'll talk about those in more detail. So this deals with large parcels largely, but it doesn't have to. It can address a unique parcel, which could be one lot. It could be a small piece of real estate where we don't have a code to deal with it, and a conditional use permit or a conditional overlay isn't appropriate. So this is a very flexible zoning district. And I say that because it is a zoning district. A property can be rezoned to a PD and it's custom zoning. A lot of times we use the term that it's a master plan for a piece of property, and it guides the development, it guides the use of it, and it has a lot of attributes that are very unique that other zoning districts don't have. So now I say that to say there's a little bit of overlap. It is zoning, but there's some overlap with subdivision regulations. It doesn't plat property. It is a zoning district. But within the zoning district, we can identify the location of streets, public utilities, and and have the developer make commitments on what type of improvements he's going to have to install and how they're going to be installed, what time frame and things like that, that align with the zoning. So it is a planned community, which is where the unit come from. It looks at a large or a piece of property and says, we want to comprehensively plan this property. So that's what this zoning district accomplishes. So we'll talk a little bit about the process here. Oh, I've got one more slide, excuse me. I think I've already hit on this. One thing this is really great about it, it allows the flexibility for a property owner to have multiple uses, and they're not tied to a hard property line or a seam in the property. Right now, zoning codes have to go to a property line or a parcel line. This gives the flexibility for you all to say, this is approximately where single family is going to be, multifamily, commercial, multiple uses, multiple densities, multiple facets of development. And it gives some flexibility so that as the development occurs, if something needs to be shifted, whether it's 5 feet or 50 feet, they don't necessarily have to come back and change things. And it allows them the flexibility, it allows the city the flexibility to keep the project online. So that's a big part of it. It also gives the ability to change setbacks and things like that, increase density in exchange for amenities, public improvements, things that we typically can't tie to zoning. So that's another big advantage. I'm not going to go through these in detail. You've got a copy of this. This is a guideline that we had put in there. Most codes have this. And it really is kind of a schedule, if you will, of a place to start when we start to look at the type of commitments that a developer would make in exchange for the type of density increases or changes in the base zoning that they would give. And these just go through things about off-site improvements, land use changes, setbacks, but it also talks about amenities, trail improvements that they aren't required to do, but they may commit to do that if they want to change the zoning or the flexibility or the uses or the density, more importantly. So that's included in the ordinance. The process, the existing ordinance is relative to this, but it's not exactly, and it's really challenging for us to follow, but it's really a 3-step process. This kind of goes beyond that, and this is what you experienced with Marabella. There was a pre-application meeting where they met with staff and they got guidance, and we tried to walk them to the best place. And then there was a sketch plan or a concept plan, and you remember for Marabella that coming before you, and it was really just a place for them to bounce ideas off and get a feeling. And then there's the actual zoning, which is what is step 2 there. And then there's a final development plan. And our existing ordinance has that in there, but it's very confusing. So this will clarify that. And so I'll go through this fairly quick. Like I said, the pre-application, the concept plan is just that. It's a sketch plan. The developer brings that to staff. We say, these are the things that the comprehensive plan tells you need to work on. These are the things that we believe you need to work on if you want our staff support. But we think it's a good idea for you to take your idea to the commission in a non-binding, non-formal setting and bounce the idea off them. What kind of feedback do you get? So that concept plan is really just that. It's a chance you're not approving anything, but it gives them the feedback they need to actually apply for the zoning change and invest more time and money in their proposal. This is something that's already in our code now. This isn't anything new, but it is pretty much a necessary element. For Marabella, a lot of these were very detailed plans, and they're intended to communicate to you what their big vision is. Most, when you get to the second phase of this where they're actually rezoning it, they probably won't have property lines and they won't have buildings and parking lots and things like that. But from a concept plan, you need to have some assurance and an idea of what their ultimate plan will be. And a lot of these things will materialize in that wordy narrative document that just depends on the depth of the depth of the development. We'll get into more detail, but that you could expect to see, as you remember from Marabella, any number of detailed sketches and exhibits and things like that. So the real part, the real phase is phase 2. This is where they apply to rezone the property from single family or agriculture in the county to a planned development district. And a piece of that is submitting a preliminary development plan. So they're rezoning it to a PD, but they have to submit a plan that goes through all types of things. It outlines the uses. It's really, like I said, a master plan for that property. It provides details on the setbacks, the density. It goes into detail about the design of buildings if there is that type of element. talks about the amenities and the commitment that they're going to make in terms of trails, public streets, and it makes some commitments for the city if we're willing to give them any grace on that. If we're willing to say, okay, you don't have to have as much parking because it's more of a walkable community, it stipulates that. All those things that break the typical zoning code are detailed in this plan. So when they bring that to you and they ask to have it rezoned, you're supporting that and you're asking the Board of Aldermen to support that. So when they rezone a piece of property to a planned development, they're also adopting or accepting the preliminary development plan as part of that. And this is, again, that overlap. This is where it's going to show you where the street layout is. It's going to show you where the sidewalks are, the water lines, if there's any off-site improvements, if they have to do a traffic study, a stormwater study. All those pieces are tied to this approval. So it's probably the most critical part of it. It's where you all get to weigh in and you get to, I hate to use this word, but there's no better word, a little bit of negotiating power. You get to say, or the city gets to say, we love your idea, we love your proposal, but we think you're asking for too much. We think you need to commit to a little bit more in order to get that density or that certain lot layout or whatever, or that mix of uses. So it's a give and take, and this is typically why planned developments are so popular. So it wouldn't be uncommon for you to see a preliminary development plan that looks like this, that doesn't have internal lot lines. It just has these amoebas or these shapes that show where a single family area is in a commercial area or a multifamily area. They could have exhibits that go into greater detail that show more streets, but really that type of planning can happen in the next phase. So I guess what I'm getting at is there is no one size fits all for a planned development. If it's a small project, you would probably see more detail. If this was a 300 or 400 acre development, you may not get much more detail than this. And the detail is in that narrative, in that document. So we detail exactly how large the lots are, the setbacks, the amenity exchange, the width of the streets, and all that stuff. So there's different ways of looking at it. This is kind of a comparison of what you might expect to see. The kind of on the right-hand side, you see those large amoebas that show some street detail, shows you approximately how many lots, what the density is, and it shows you the phasing. On the left-hand side, it shows you more detail. I can't tell you you're always going to get one or the other, but there is that flexibility for them. But you'll have enough assurance when you see a preliminary development plan that you feel comfortable adopting it and accepting it. So the final step, which again, this is in your existing ordinance, it's just kind of hidden in there and it's a little bit confusing. The word plan and the word plat is kind of thrown in and it's very confusing. But the best way to describe this is if they're doing one of those phases, just say the one on the far bottom right, they will have to come back in. Let me make this clear. So at this point, step 2, you've already adopted the preliminary development plan. You've rezoned it to a plan development that shows this, that allows this, that accepts this. The next step for them is to come in and submit a final development plan, maybe a preliminary plat with it. And that shows all the detail that you're typically used to seeing when you see a preliminary plat. Shows the lot lines, shows the easements, shows the exact location of the streets, but they will have to submit a preliminary or a final development plan with that refines and it shows exactly what they're doing on that phase. And that could be everything from the lot layout to the utilities, what the design of the buildings are, if it's multifamily, commercial, exactly what uses are going to be allowed. It really gets into the details about that phase of the development. The way we've written this is that that's largely an administrative portion, but if there's any debate on their part that they don't like the way staff has interpreted it, it has to come back to back to this body to review that. If it's a small project, that's probably not going to happen. It's going to be a one lot. There's one lot out of the whole thing, and they're going to come back and say, well, we said we would do this range of commercial, but now we kind of want to do just this kind of commercial with a little bit of multifamily. And they come back and it refines exactly what that is. So I went through that really fast. I'm sure there's some questions in there. We've shared a copy of the ordinance with you. We are on track to take this to the board in March with a second reading in April. As I said, we've got some applications. We've got some proposals on the table now that they're waiting for us to get this through because they would rather use this ordinance than our existing one. So I'm not trying to put any pressure on you by any means, but that's the timeline we're working with. So what questions can I answer?
Yeah, does anybody have any right now? I have one. I'll ask one.
Please.
I believe it was stated either, I think I missed it tonight, but you've mentioned it before. There's a point to where staff would decide if a requested change or adjustment or revision is requested during the process. Who or what group makes the decision it's a big enough ask to come back to the commission? Because that's, I'm saying that right, correct?
Yes.
So how is that decided?
So that probably, so in the preliminary development plan, and that again is when they're actually rezoning it, it'll stipulate these are the uses that are allowed, these are the density setbacks, all the details are in that plan. When they come forward with their final development plan, they're going to either have to be substantially in conformance with that, so it agrees with that, or it doesn't. There's language in here, I think it's on page 7 or 8, it's the last section, that details how we determine that. In terms, staff decides whether it substantially conforms to that preliminary development plan or it doesn't. That's the piece where if they disagree with us, they can come back and you're basically the arbitrator, or they challenge us and you decide if we're wrong or right.
Yeah, okay. I missed that. My apologies.
No,
There it is, right
it's-
there. Determining
involved.
substantial conformance,
Yes.
letter E. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank
And
you.
it really, the buck kind of stops with you all. I guess if they don't give you the answer, or if you don't give them the answer they like, I guess they can request to have it go to the board, but that's not really how it's written, so.
Mhm.
um,
Okay. Anyone else? If not, we'll let you sit down.
I had
Oh,
one, sorry.
I'm sorry, Adam, didn't mean
No,
to
no,
jump.
you're good. On B1, it talks about providing for the compatible and integrated development of 2 or more different land uses. So is a planned development always that, or could it just be for one land use?
We would rather, the way this one's written, it has to be 2 land uses.
Okay.
I think the rest of our zoning code should cover whether it's commercial, multifamily, residential.
Right.
This is really trying to push them to do something a little bit more and to be more integrated. And so that's the way we've written it. There's probably other codes out there that say it has to be 3 or more, or that it could have 1. And Mr. Zickavoos could probably qualify this. Springfield used this process for years as a way to develop anything that was even slightly different. I don't think we want to get to the point where we allow every project that comes in who doesn't really have a good chance of getting it approved. They just try to do it as a planned development to negotiate their way through zoning. I think that's a bad use of this ordinance. I think we should use this, or we think we should use this to get something more, and that's a mixed use development at a minimum.
Okay.
Right.
That answers my question.
Great point. Great point. Well, I'll go ahead and ask now, as the representative of the city, do you have anything else you would like to say before
Not on
I
this.
open it up to the public?
Not on this agenda item, no. And Megan
And
may
that's
have
what I was
something
gonna
she
ask,
wants
yeah.
to add.
I was going to put Megan and Ava in the same pot. You got anything, Megan?
No, I think I'm good. I think Randall did
Miss
a good
Ava?
job.
You good? Okay.
Well, maybe it's a good time I didn't write this all alone. We all 3 have worked on this for quite some time.
Well,
so.
there's a
It was a group
lot
effort.
of work here. A lot of work. We thank you for it. Okay, we will take a moment because there is action required. We'll open it up to the public for any public comment. You're not the public. You're administration. You missed your opportunity, Mr. Mayor. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, start the timer.
Okay, Don Kearns, 1202 East Melling Lane, Ozark, Missouri. No, I appreciate the work put into this, because what I like about it is the detail, the clarity that it gives on a project and the process that follows. So therefore, we'll know what they're achieving in the end and not have oops, didn't know they was going to do that and things like that. So I appreciate the work that they all put into it. And I think this is great for the future of Ozark and for projects that's coming down, as he says, down the pike.
Thank you, sir. So we'll go ahead and close the public portion of it and open it up for commission for comments, questions, or a motion. All three could apply.
Sorry, I do have
Go
a
ahead.
question. Just
You bet.
the clarity of the, that chart that you have of the percentage of the density increases. Can you explain maybe a situation that would help better kind of identify how that would be used? Like like what the design elements or improvements, how those work in tandem? Is it, maybe I'm trying to understand, make sure I understand it correctly, is that if there's like at least a 3% density increase, then we're talking about you need to do placemaking a certain way to get that increase?
Yeah, I think you're answering it correctly. If we, at one point when we early drafted this, we had some harder, these weren't approximate density increases. They were a little more, they were bigger commitment. But as we reviewed it, and I think it actually came up when we presented this earlier, maybe it was Chad that mentioned it, or it was we've actually had developers review this. We had our colleagues in Nixa review this. Cameron has reviewed this. So we've shared this with, and I can't remember who it was that encouraged us to change that to the word approximate.
Yeah.
Because we may have somebody come in and says, I need a few more units to make this fly. You've asked me to put in this trail from here to here, and you've asked me to do A, B, C, and D, and I just can't financially make it work. And we needed something as a staff to gauge it and say, well, what you're proposing to do warrants X amount of density. So that's really all this is. It's not a hard and fast commitment for anything. It very much is approximate, and it gives some guideline, and it gives a developer something to begin to kind of shape what they want to do. I think what we're going to see is that a lot of developers are going to really not want that much density. They're wanting that mix of uses and that flexibility to move things around a little bit more so than they are the density and the setbacks and things like that. So some of those things may not warrant a lot of public improvements. If they want a narrower lot width, they may still have a lot that it meets our density requirements, and we may not be able to say, okay, we want you to build a $400,000 amenity package for the development. They say, well, maybe that's more of a warranted a pickleball court or something else. So it's very much a negotiation, I think, at that point to get the right density requirement to compare with the improvements they want to do.
And that's why that's there as a guideline, not as something.
It's hard and fast.
Right. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. The floor is still open. Anybody? We good? You got one? Okay. All we lack's one thing to move forward from this one. Who would like to be the motioner?
Do you have to list the full name of the?
All right, well, read it through where it says Ozark, Missouri. You can stop there, I think.
Oh, well, maybe I'm on the wrong page then. Hold on.
Just read C on the very front, the agenda.
Oh, the page.
Just read the first line. I think we're good.
I got to scroll back. Hold
Here.
on.
You want to take, I've got a copy.
I got it right here. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance amending the municipal code of the city of Ozark, Missouri, chapter 405 zoning regulations by repealing and replacing section 405.410 plan unit development regulations in its entirety.
Do I have a second? And you don't have to read it. Roll call, Megan.
Chad Zickafus.
Aye.
Suzanne Daniel. Pete Renfro,
Aye.
Caleb Berger,
Aye.
Lacey Colbert,
Aye.
Adam Brown,
Aye.
Jeff Garrison,
Aye.
Trevor Branch,
Aye.
Hadley Goldberg is absent. The ayes have it.
Thank you, thank you. Last but surely not least, we have an inclement weather policy to approve. Who's going to talk about that?
I can do that.
Mr. Whitman.
This, if I'm not mistaken, this may have, it came from this body during January when we had some,
Yes, it did.
we had a bad day, if you will, or a bad weekend of weather. I can't take full credit for this. The internet did help me draft this policy a bit, but I did craft the language to kind of suit some of the discussion we had.
Don't tell me AI helped you.
No,
Okay, thank you.
by no means, by no means. But it basically, if City Hall is closed, there won't be a board meeting. I think it references the fact that these meetings occur on a Monday. So if City Hall is closed on a Monday, there won't be a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, and it will automatically be pushed to the next day, which is a Tuesday. If Tuesday is also a bad weather, we didn't really want to automatically push it to Wednesday because that's often a conflict with community events and church events. So at that time, we would converse with the chairman or the secretary, which is Mr. Renfro, and we'll identify a day. If we go too far out, we begin to confuse some of the scheduling and notification deadlines. So that's kind of how we crafted this. That's it in a nutshell. It's a lot of words to say just that.
Just that.
Yes.
But you have to have all those words.
Yep.
Okay, Megan, anything additional? Ava? Okay. Well, with that being said, since we do have to make a vote to take action here, we're going to open it up to the public for any comment, questions. Everybody seems to be good, so we'll close this portion, move it to the commission. Anybody have any questions or clarifications?
I should add one thing. We'll have this posted on the city's website. So if that should happen, the public will automatically know what the policy is and what to expect. So there won't be any guesswork on the public's part, or your part for that matter, if you've forgotten.
Well, and I think I'm glad you said that. I wanted to point out the commission will actually be notified via email, phone, text
Yes.
immediately. So we know there's no questions. Okay. So once they do it, I'll probably throw out my own, make sure everybody gets flooded with information. So you won't try to get out in 15 inches of snow. So with that said, just looking for a motion to approve here.
I move to approve the inclement weather cancellation policy.
Thank you. A second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Caleb Berger,
Aye.
Chad Zickafus,
Aye.
Lacey Colbert,
Aye.
Trevor Branch,
Aye.
Adam Brown,
Aye.
Hadley Goldberg is absent, Jeff Garrison,
Aye.
Pete Renfro,
Aye.
and Suzanne Daniel.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Moving into discussion, open it up to the commission for any comments of anything from this evening or future events coming up. Seeing no one, we'll move on to administrative. Mr. Whitman, you have anything in addition?
No, I'm not going to make a prediction about March. I'm not sure we have any applications that we'll be bringing forward. If we can get our act together, we may bring a draft of our multifamily design guidelines that we've been working on. So, but I'm reluctant to make a promise. But
Well, I
is
don't
that
know if
correct?
there's-
No other applications, right, at this
So
point?
far, no.
So far.
Rumor has it we may have another bound of snow third or fourth week of March. Just saying. That's right. We're good.
Yep.
I move that we reject.
The snow.
A second.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, Megan, anything?
Just one note, your agendas have links to jump to each of the agenda items. When I make it, it has a blue box around it, so I thought it was obvious. But looking at Lacey's agenda, it's not as obvious as I thought it was. So if you click on the annexation 26-001, it should take you to the first page of the staff report.
I
So
love that.
Yeah, okay, just in case anyone had missed that.
So click, so tell me, click where
If you kind of
on the
hover,
header page?
Like on
So
like the top line of whatever.
that's like where it says annexation 26-001 or whatever, click on that
Uh-huh.
and it will jump. Now, isn't that special?
That is awesome.
I like that
Yeah.
a lot.
I thought it had
I
the
like
link.
that a lot.
I thought it showed that to you, otherwise I would have
Okay.
clarified that earlier.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's.
If you want to learn how to do that, that's Control K. It's Control C, Control K, Control V, and it
Bloop,
happens.
bloop, bloop. Yeah, I wore out my finger today scrolling down and back. Okay. Ava, or Megan, do you have anything
That's all
else?
I had. Yeah.
Ava, anything? Mr. Mayor?
Keep our Cushing County Sheriff's Department in prayers.
We had a moment of silence at the very beginning.
Okay.
Yes,
I was kind of.
I know. Yeah, we need to pray for them. Can't reach this page. I don't think
It's just
Control K
email.
will help you.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone's had a chance, so we're missing one thing. Who wants to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
They all said, Caleb, second, they all said,
I-
move forward. That's right, amen. Yes, and keep